Welcome to the 8th Annual Symposium on Pediatric Device Innovation and the Make Your Medical Device Pitch for Kids competition, powered by MedTech Innovator and made possible by the FDA-funded National Capital Consortium for Pediatric Device Innovation, NCC-PDI. My name is Kolale Skandanian. I'm the Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer at Children's National Hospital and Principal Investigator of NCC-PDI. Our device consortium was established in 2013, led by Children's National and University of Maryland. And in 2018, we added key partners, including the MedTech Innovator, BioHealth Innovation, and our design partner, Archimedic. The first round of today's competition took place on March the 23rd, and our today's 10 finalists were selected to enter the Pediatric Device Accelerator program in June. So congratulations, companies, on your progress and for pitching today for a chance to win $250,000 in grant funding. We hope to serve you further to help bring much needed pediatric medical devices to children.
Hello, on behalf of the National Capital Consortium for Pediatric Device Innovation, I'd like to welcome you to this finals competition. I'm Bill Bentley. I'm the director of the Robert E. Fischel Institute for Biomedical Devices at the University of Maryland, and we've been co-hosts and glad participants in the competition. If you have any questions throughout the day or at any time, please send me an email, bentley@umd.edu. Thank you and have a great time.
Hi, I'm Paul Grand, CEO at MedTech Innovator, the largest accelerator of medical devices in the world. We're proud to be the accelerator partner to the FDA-funded NCC-PDI Pediatric Device Consortium, headed by Children's National. Our mission is to improve the lives of patients by accelerating the growth of companies that are transforming healthcare. And what we do here is we bring together leading strategics and industry stakeholders to help ensure that important innovations actually reach patients. And now, while it's difficult for medical device companies to get the support and capital they need, it's even more challenging for pediatric innovators. And that's why it's so important to give them extra attention through this program. In March of this year, 30 companies were selected out of hundreds of applicants to compete for a spot in our Pediatric Accelerator program by a panel of 70 industry judges, including investors, strategics, representatives from organizations like FDA, hospitals, and others. 10 companies advanced from that competition to our accelerator. Those 10 companies since June have been participating in a program along with 52 other leading innovators from around the world, where they've received mentorship and support from industry stakeholders. And today, those 10 companies will compete for up to $250,000 in non-dilutive funding. Each company will have 7 minutes to do their pitch, which will include a recommended 3 minutes of pitch and 4 minutes of Q&A by our industry judges. Whatever time they don't use in their pitch will be available for Q&A. Now, I urge you to listen closely to these pitches, and if there's anything you can offer to these companies, whether it be an introduction to an investor, to a hospital, to a clinician, to any other resource, please reach out to them. You can find information about all of these companies on our website at medtechinnovator.org. All right, let's start off by introducing today's judges. Why don't we start with Jackie?
Hi, Jackie Phillips, Senior Director at Johnson & Johnson for Pediatric Product Development and the point person for pediatric devices for the company.
All right, next, Rosemarie.
Rosemarie Truman, founder and CEO of the Center for Advancing Innovation, otherwise known as the Tinder for Startups.
Terry.
Hi, everyone. I'm Terry Burke. I'm a venture partner with Epidemics Capital and also a co-founder and CEO of a medical device startup in the cardiac space.
Thank you. Next, we'll go with James.
Hi, I'm James Love. I'm a patent attorney who works at Oblon, and I work with medical devices.
And Alyssa.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Ebo. I'm a pediatric emergency medicine physician and the Director of Strategic Innovation and Emergency Medicine at Children's National Hospital.
Thank you. And Sally.
Hi, Sally Lane. I'm Regional Head of J Labs at Washington, D.C., part of Johnson & Johnson Innovation.
And Patrick.
So Patrick Hanley, I'm the Director of the Cell Therapy Lab here at Children's National Hospital.
Now let's hear their pitches.
Hey everyone, really excited to be the first one to chat with you guys today. My name is Eric Shahab, as you heard. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Novinate. I'm here representing a pretty awesome and interdisciplinary team of engineers and physicians that spun out of the Stanford Biodesign program, and that's really passionate about solving problems in neonatology. And I want to start by telling you first about umbilical cord catheters. So these catheters are exactly what they sound like, central lines that are placed through an umbilical vessel and that are used to keep babies alive. About 300,000 umbilical catheters are placed every year in the United States, and they're still one of the most dangerous central lines in the whole hospital, being used on these critically ill babies. This is because they're one of the only unprotected central lines. This is how we typically secure central lines in adults using a sterile occlusive dressing. But this is today's standard of care in 2020 for securing umbilical cord catheters. These are taken from training guides, where the catheters are secured using off-the-shelf adhesives or tape, leaving the stump completely exposed and ineffectively secured. Indeed, up to 63% of umbilical venous catheters will actually migrate within the first 24 hours, leading to a whole range of complications. So we developed LifeBubble. It's a simple, sterile silicone device that sits over the umbilical stump catheter interface to protect it. And you can secure a catheter by simply wrapping it around a securement knob and pulling a strap over the top to mechanically secure it. And if you see my screen, it's reasonably soft. So it simplifies and improves catheter securement. It protects that catheter insertion site from potential complications and allowing parents to hold their babies more comfortably. And it still standardizes this process of stabilization. And LifeBubble really has a clear competitive advantage over other commercial products that exist for umbilical catheter securement. All these products consist really of reconfigured adhesives and were designed just to simplify the process or save a little bit of time. None were actually designed to actually improve catheter securement. And as a result, none have been widely adopted within the NICU. And LifeBubble is now ready for commercialization. It's FDA registered and already on the market. About over 300 LifeBubbles have been used on babies at this point. And we were present for many of the initial uses and got really aggressive about collecting surveys from nurses who confirmed that LifeBubble is easy to use, secure, quick to apply, and protective. We also developed two accessory products called the Adhesive Pack, which is exactly what it sounds like, and LifeBubble Buddy for insertion site access in response to feedback from nurses. And we've also gotten 5 value committee to approve trials in 3 different states, communicating a $99 price point. And just want to go over the next year at Novinate. So our first goal is to really establish LifeBubble as the new gold standard for umbilical catheter securement through 2 independent academic clinical studies that are currently ongoing on catheter securement. And they'll be presenting interim findings at the American Academy of Pediatrics and Vermont Oxford Network virtual conferences this year. And they're currently preparing manuscript submissions in peer-reviewed journals. We also plan to start capturing our market by partnering and initiating sales through NICU-focused distributors and supplementing that effort with NICU nurse consultants for regional clinical support. We also plan to achieve ISO 13485 certification, and also excitingly to develop 2 new products that address unmet needs in the NICU with similar call points as LifeBubble to expand our market opportunity even further by leveraging Novinate's current infrastructure that we've built up for LifeBubble. Thanks so much.
Great job, Eric. Okay, judges, questions?
Hi, Eric. Great presentation. I was just wondering how much money you've raised, and from what sources?
Yeah, so we've raised about 1.3 million at this point, primarily from a really small venture group as part of a Series Seed. So we're ramping up towards a Series A round towards the end of this year.
And what are your asks in the Series A?
So we're planning to raise about $2.5 million to really develop and launch these other products. And again, leveraging our existing infrastructure, both on the R&D side and the commercial side, and then start to capture our market for LifeBubble and plug in these new products that we plan to launch into that commercial infrastructure.
Jackie?
Hi, Eric. Great product. As someone who used to put these lines in and have them get misplaced within 24 hours. As you are aware, or may not be aware, neonatal products and innovations such as this, neonatal reimbursement is a bundled opportunity. So having that those outcomes tied to cost savings will be crucial for uptake into that market. Do you have plans for that yet, or have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's a great point and something that's been sort of an ongoing point of conversation. You're right, for these day 1 admissions, they're generally bundled CPT codes. So this would plug into that. So yes, I mean, we already sort of envision a value argument, if you will, based on the results of these clinical studies that show reduction in migration rates that can lead to reduction in x-rays, which saves money, but also radiation to the babies, obviously, and sort of the downstream consequences of these migrations. I mean, in the extreme cases, pericardial effusions, infections as well. But I think there is also some level of non-financial benefit that we're seeing resonate with a lot of the nursing management, for example, which is indeed like we're seeing nurses feeling more comfortable letting parents hold their babies now that the line is more secure and being protective, which is associated generally with better neurodevelopmental outcomes, a little harder to sort of map the financial benefits to that, and also just a level of comfort associated with improved securement.
Okay, and last question, Alyssa.
Hi, Eric. Great presentation. Two quick questions. One, do you have a sense of how long it can stay in place or if it would need to be changed over time? And then my second question is, you mentioned 2 other products, and I was just hoping you could just shed some light on what the Buddy is.
Yeah, sure. Great questions. Okay, so I'll try to answer those quickly because I could go a long time in all those things. We envision LifeBubble, or in fact, LifeBubble has been staying for the life of the line or the line, so you wouldn't actually need to replace LifeBubble at all. These lines typically stay in at kind of the highest end 14 days, but typically NICUs will try to take it out around 7 days. This varies between hospitals. So at this point, we don't really have the clinical evidence to suggest you can keep the lines in for longer with LifeBubble, but we are saying, LifeBubble can just stay for the life of the line per your routine protocols at this point. LifeBubble Buddy is, I would love to show you a demo, but in the interest of time, I'll just show you some schematics. So we got some feedback from nurses early on that, this is great. We love that it's protected 99% of the time. It's just a little bit more difficult to get into the insertion site now for these 1 or 2 procedures, such as removing an umbilical tie or removing 1 catheter in the cases where babies have 2 catheters. Now, to be clear, it can still be done, and it is still done very frequently without this additional tool. If you can see my video, you can still just access the insertion site by opening it up just like that, but it does take an extra pair of hands. So the Buddy just kind of comes around. It's this tool that just looks like this. I won't do a demo for the sake of time, but it just goes like this around the LifeBubble, and you sort of just peel it back to hook it on to keep it open, hands-free, which facilitates that process a lot and has gotten good feedback clinically. And then on the additional products, so this is kind of our the products in development. So Aerograsp for endotracheal tube securement, a neonatal skin-friendly adhesive, and what we're calling a next-generation umbilical catheter. And I'll just tell you about the one really quickly that I'm excited about, which is an extreme unmet need, which are a device to better secure endotracheal tubes in the NICU. In the adult world, an unplanned extubation usually consists of someone pulling a tube out of their mouth, but in the NICU, that's not the case. And these are really dramatic events that are reported, that lower US News and World rankings, that are mapped very directly to increased costs, and again, poor neurodevelopmental outcomes. So again, most excitingly, a product that we are preliminarily calling Aerograsp to improve securement of endotracheal tubes in the NICU for babies specifically.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Eric. Nice job.
That was a long answer, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Good job, everybody. So thanks, Eric. Okay, so all right, so now we're going to move on then to Anara.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the time today. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Chris Mathai. I'm the CEO of Anara Health. In 2009, the preterm birth rate increased for the 5th straight year, climbing to its highest level since 2008. And while infants born prematurely have unique and often terrifying complications to overcome, they all share a common problem. Each must learn how to eat by mouth before they go home. The AAP lists core criteria an infant must meet prior to discharge from the NICU. And for the majority of this criteria, there's an objective resource like a scale that helps clinicians track progress. However, for oral feeding, there's not an objective resource to track progress and improve feeding readiness. Oral feeding is an important developmental milestone for the preemie kiddo, and it's the hardest skill they must learn. Many struggle with it, and a delayed transition introduces tremendous consequences for the patient and the facility. This is precisely why the N-Trainer was developed. The N-Trainer is the only FDA-cleared medical device clinically proven to improve feeding outcomes in newborns and infants born prematurely. The N-Trainer operates in 2 modes, assessment and therapy. In assessment mode, the N-Trainer works by capturing an infant's oral coordination and strength and graphing it in a real-time, easy-to-interpret and objective format. Based on the data, clinicians can confidently initiate the transition to oral feeding or intervene with the N-Trainer therapy if the kiddo needs additional support. The in-trainer therapy works by providing highly researched, patterned oral stimulation designed to improve the strength and coordination of the infant's sucking, swallowing, and breathing patterns. In a recently published manuscript, the 109 infants who received the in-trainer therapy advanced to oral feeding 4 days sooner and experienced a reduction in length of stay by 6 days. But this is Noah. Noah's an outlier. He was born with a rare enlarged growth under his tongue, impacting his ability to eat. Because of a very talented neonatologist and the in-trainer, Noah was able to advance oral feeding, avoid a G-tube surgery, and spent 70 days at home instead of in the NICU before returning to have the growth successfully removed. While it's taken a bit to build the momentum at Inara, our bus is moving. We're in market with 30 clients using our first generation in-trainer. We possess a strong global IP portfolio and have built a solid strategy aimed at fueling growth. While COVID has certainly limited our access, we continue to gain interest and build pipeline. In fact, the lack of access has freed up cycles, allowing us to focus on the important task of redesigning the in-trainer. The redesign can introduce a new paradigm shift for feeding development in the NICU and help establish the in-trainer as a standard of care. Our partners in this journey are interested industry leaders who possess the resources to support Inara through this evolutionary process. And we're excited to have Dr. Govindaswamy support our mission, as he's been a catalyst and a champion for the in-trainer for a number of years. We're also fortunate to have a very talented cross-functional team with decades of experience from some of the most recognizable organizations in the industry. At Inara Health, we believe that every baby deserves the best opportunity to develop, grow, and thrive. Your vote can help the in-trainer become the standard of care for feeding development in NICUs around the world. Thank you.
Great job. Nice job, Chris. So who wants to go first? Jackie.
Okay, I may have missed it. Have you linked your technology or planning on linking it to decreasing length of stay? You may have said it, but I may have missed it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I may have blown through that part of the presentation. In the manuscript, the 109 infants who received the in-trainer therapy advanced oral feeding 4 days sooner and experienced a reduction in length of stay. The manuscript was published in PLOS ONE in February of 2019. It's 5 sites, 210 patients.
Can you dollarize the savings or the average length of stay? Because that will be important.
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that we've struggled with because of the bundled impact of payments. Now, the benefit that we are seeing is that 49% of all NICU babies cite Medicaid as their primary source of insurance. So there's certainly a need to improve throughput. But we're also seeing clients use the in-trainer as a competitive differentiator in some highly competitive markets to attract more of that payer mix. From a reduced length of stay standpoint, we're seeing about $3,000 in cash conservation for reducing length of stay. But we're working with a number of consulting groups as well as some payers and MCOs to better identify what that reduction in length of stay means from a financial impact.
Great, thank you.
Rosemarie.
So I was just wondering, what's your go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, so given that we received our 510K in 2008, we've been in market for a number of years. But the in-trainer itself right now is incredibly cumbersome. It's large. It lacks the normal device functionality that you would expect from a medical device of this caliber. So our go-to-market strategy is reducing the footprint of the in-trainer, which will allow for an easier integration into the NICU. Think about an in-trainer being in every bay on an IV pole instead of in the equipment room. With our existing clients, we've already received a tremendous amount of feedback, positive feedback on the miniaturization, and we continually receive inquiries from folks in Ireland or the UK on establishing a distributorship. But for the domestic market, my experience has been on the healthcare IT side, and I possess a fairly significant Rolodex of folks that have already raised their hand and said, hey, I'd like to come be a part of this. We believe that with the momentum we've already established and the right team, we can easily capture a large portion of the domestic market.
James?
My question is about the competition. You mentioned you've been in the market for a little while, but you didn't really mention the competition in this area.
Yeah, that's a great question, James. We actually don't, we have competition, but we do not have competition. Our nearest competitor is a really talented speech and language pathologist or an occupational therapist with a glove on their finger, providing oral stimulation for that infant. We have a patent on that oral stimulation. And while there are other organizations that can do an assessment of non-nutritive proficiency, we are the only company that actually has a therapy that's been clinically proven to improve that pre-feeding skill.
Okay, next, Alyssa.
Hi, Chris. Great presentation. Hey, how are you? So I was wondering, it's obviously used in the hospitals right now, but is there any thought about potentially having something like this in the home? Is there any value to that from a therapeutic standpoint?
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of a active dialogue with, let's just call it a breast pump manufacturer, where we are looking at incorporating, as we're miniaturizing our solution, there could be some economies of scale to look at adding this as an attachment to a breast pump that allows that infant who's struggling with that transition to breast or with bottle to receive a short 30, 45-second therapy session to help train or retrain those critical pre-feeding skills.
Okay, great. All right, so that's all we have time for. Thank you very much, Chris. Great job.
Thank you very much.
Applause, everybody. Nice job, Chris. All right, thank you. So next up, we've got AdvaMed.
Hi, my name is Evan Nadler, and I'm representing AdvaMed Incorporated, where we've developed the COVID spot test when you need a COVID diagnosis on the spot. The unmet need for children is pretty obvious. Widespread testing is currently unavailable. And what makes this even more difficult for children is that they're often asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic. And that makes the tests even more difficult to obtain. And those tests, as we all know, are costly and may take days to get the results, not to mention that the accuracy is varied amongst the test. Thus, there's a huge knowledge gap. Society can't make an informed decision about students' safe return to school. To solve this problem, diagnostics need to evolve, and there have been a couple of viral antigen detection tests that have made it to market, which we see as a great roadmap for how our product can get to market and not truly as competitors. And that's because our solution is an instrument-free diagnostic kit for SARS-CoV-2. It's based on designer peptides, which are built to recognize the molecular mechanism by which the virus enters the cells. And we can provide an on-the-spot and accurate test within 5 minutes. Our sensitivity is as good as PCR, and our test can be deployed with minimal training, which makes it usable in schools or youth sports venues. And perhaps most importantly, the cost per kit may be as little as $1.50 to manufacture, which will allow for widespread and repeated testing once we manufacture in large scale. These are just some data from our pre-alpha version, which shows that our sensitivity is almost as good as the Quidel Sophia system without a reader and without automation, and our specificity right now is 100%. This is our end product. It's likely to be a lateral flow assay that looks much like your home pregnancy test, and will include a nasal swab and a buffer in the point of care version, which will be our Gen 1 product. Gen 2 will be a saliva test for over-the-counter sales. This business is a joint venture with a company in India, and we've lined up other partners so that we can get this to market as soon as possible. And we're looking to raise $1 million right now and $4 million in a second tranche in about 6 weeks. This is our team, including myself, my co-founder, Rob Freistadt, who's our Chief Scientific Officer, and then a strategic advisor who's a serial entrepreneur and fundraiser. So in summary, AdvaMed has a novel concept for SARS-CoV-2 detection that will revolutionize the testing paradigm. Our test can be used anywhere and will be low cost, allowing for widespread and multiple testing. And this will allow children to get back to normal life, which is the most important thing we can offer them right now. So thank you for your time.
Very nice job, Evan. Thank you. Okay, so judges, who has questions for Evan?
Could you tell us about your team, Evan?
So our team currently in AdvaMed is just the three folks you saw on the screen: myself, my CSO, and our strategic advisor. The products are being manufactured at a company called Zymedica up in Providence, Rhode Island, and that's already happening. And then we have another scientist in India and another strategic advisor in India to help us with our global marketing plan.
Great. Next question, Patrick.
Yeah, Evan, great job. I'm just curious about how you're going to make yourself stand out from the many, many competitors in this market right now.
So the differences are that this is going to be an over-the-counter product when we get to Gen 2, which will certainly make us stick out. 2 is at the price point. If we can make it at $1.50 a unit, and that's actually been a price quoted to us by a manufacturer in India, then we can price it at $8 or $10 a test, which will allow the everyday consumer to get access to it and get access to it multiple times, and actually avoid the costs of the prescription that one needs from a doctor right now, and also the lab fees that all the current products are administered in a lab. And when they talk about their price, like the most recent Abbott test, they don't include the price of the lab tech who has to do the work. So those are our main competitive advantages.
Okay, let's go to Sally next.
Hi, Evan. How are you?
Good, Sally. Thanks.
Good to see you. 2 questions. First is, I imagine this is not, it can be used in addition to the pediatric market, in that it can be used in the adult market. And second is, when you talk about generation 2 or 2.0, do you have plans to build in specificity for any other viral detection?
Yeah, great question. So yes, certainly it would be applicable to the adult market. We actually view schools though as the first use case, in that the point of care testing could easily be done by a school nurse or some other body in the school system. And we view that as sort of the most important place to get the product, to get life back to normal. In terms of Gen 2.0 or 3.0, we are already designing peptides to recognize the current flu strain that's in South Africa, so that Gen 2 would be a point of care test with 2 channels, one for the flu and the other for COVID-19 or for SARS-CoV-2. And which one of those happens first versus, over-the-counter product versus a point of care product with 2 different channels, that's TBD based on market needs.
Okay, go ahead, Rosemary.
How come you're raising so much money if the cost of manufacturing is so low? And how are you making money?
So the first question is, the first tranche, I could send you the use of funds document. It's all tied up in legal fees, regulatory consulting, transaction advisory, paying Zymedica to do our alpha and beta prototypes, lab work here at the Children's Research Institute to perfect the viral detection. The second tranche will be to buy up so the supply chain for our product is not the same supply chain as for others. So that's a competitive advantage that I forgot to mention. But we will probably stockpile reagents so that when we do have our first strategic that wants to mass produce, they won't have to go sourcing reagents. We'll have them already locked up in a storage bin somewhere. How are we making money? We're not currently, but eventually the idea would be to license the product to a global strategic or multinational corp that wants to take it to mass produce and develop and distribute. And then that's when the money will come in.
All right, thanks, Evan.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time.
All right, everybody, right. Evan, thank you. Okay, next up, we're going to have Eclipse Regenesis.
All right, thanks, Paul. Welcome, everybody. This is Eclipse Regenesis, the first tissue regeneration therapy for short bowel syndrome.
Will was born with a gastrointestinal condition so severe it threatened his life. Barely 24 hours old, Will was diagnosed and underwent the first of 5 surgeries to repair his intestinal malrotation and volvulus, a complex blockage of the digestive tract that leads to tissue necrosis. In cases as severe as Will's, the condition could be deadly if left untreated.
We try to manage patients like Will the best we can. Current therapies, including intravenous nutrition and surgery, simply do not restore the absorptive function of the intestine. Complications such as sepsis, liver failure, and death still occur. Will has a long and difficult road ahead of him, and I would like to change that.
That's why we're excited to introduce the Eclipse XL1 system. By distraction enterogenesis, we're able to stimulate the body to grow new healthy intestine. This new intestine has identical mechanical and absorptive capabilities to healthy tissue. The new lengthened segments potentially eliminate or reduce parenteral nutrition dependence. Our mission at Eclipse is to give kids like Will a chance at life.
That was a quick overview of what we're trying to do here at Eclipse. But again, just a little bit of more background on short bowel syndrome. It is an orphan condition affecting less than 8,000 new patients a year. By definition, it's the 65% anatomical loss of the small intestine due to congenital or acquired defects. In pediatrics, it's mostly necrotizing enterocolitis, volvulus, and atresia. But existing treatments are non-curative and have significant side effects, as we discussed in the video, and they're actually very, very expensive. So that's why we're excited to present a restorative solution to short bowel. So via distraction enterogenesis, we have a device that mechanically stimulates the body to grow new healthy small intestine. This new intestine has identical mechanical and absorptive capabilities to healthy tissue. And these new lengthened segments, by increasing the overall surface area, we're going to restore the body to be able to absorb nutrients naturally. We hope to get these patients off of parenteral nutrition and really return them to enteral autonomy or being able to eat normal food. So we've raised, or there's been over $8 million in non-dilutive research into this project over 15 years. Dr. James Dunn started this down at UCLA, and we're excited today to be spun out as a freestanding company and pursuing a path to first in human. The market opportunity is significant, even though it is an orphan disease state. Prevalence in the United States, about 10,000. We went out and talked to private payers. So we spoke with 15 of the largest private payers, the Humana, Aetna, United's, the medical directors there, and got a good understanding of their understanding of short bowel syndrome and the costs that they face. And again, it's upwards of $500,000 per patient per year, just to start, 1.6 million over 5 years. So extremely high cost of care. And a significant unmet clinical need. And we feel that it can be, we calculate it to be about a $2.5 billion market opportunity in the United States. Our regulatory and clinical strategy is clear. We're part of the HUD-HDE pathway through the FDA. We've started that process. We've achieved HUD designation, humanitarian use designation. We've had our IDE pre-subs with the FDA. And currently we are in our final GLP, preclinical GLP animal study to be able to submit that for IDE clearance to do the first in human trial. We hope to do that middle of next year. The IP has been issued, the core patent. We have an exclusive license from UCLA, and we have additional IP underway for delivery device and eventual development of the endoscopic delivery and fixation of this technology. We have an experienced team with myself, Dr. James Dunn, and Tom Crummell, the three founders, and I've brought together an experienced virtual team of R&D development, quality, regulatory, legal affairs. And in summary, we have a proven mechanism of action for this intestinal elongation. We're quick to first in human via the HDE path. We have a highly experienced early stage medical device team. We've raised our first seed money back in January of 2019, and we're currently now in process to raise a Series A to complete the process to get to first in human. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Andre. Okay, so who's got questions for Eclipse? All right, Terry.
Yeah, great presentation. I'm curious on the technology. Can you give me a sense for with the elongation segment, how long is that actually? And you said 10 to 21 days. So give me a sense for how much growth can occur in terms of a measurement?
Yeah, so each device can stimulate about 5 centimeters of growth. In the animal models, we've been able to do multiple devices in series in one treatment. This will be a course of treatments, just stimulating 5 centimeters for someone that has 30 centimeters of residual tissue is not going to be enough. We've shown in the animal model that we are able to re-lengthen the lengthened tissue. And so everybody is going to start, these patients are going to start at different levels. Some patients have 10 centimeters, some have 50 centimeters. A normal a child would want to be around 200 centimeters. So there's different amounts that we're going to have to stimulate to grow. And then where that patient achieves enough nutritional absorption is unknown. So there is going to be some titration that happens.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, great. Thank you, Andre. Nice job. All right, so Biosense, you want to go ahead and bring up your slides?
My name is Tom Evans. I'm the founder of Biosense. I started Biosense after studying biomedical engineering at school and working as an EMT on ambulances, where I saw a huge problem with the way we were applying the EKG technology on patients in the field. Later, I also realized that the hospitals also had these issues, specifically in pediatrics. In the neonatal intensive care unit, 100% of patients require 24-hour ECG monitoring, where the electrodes tear the underdeveloped skin, cause reactions and irritation, and fall off due to humidity in the incubators. So we developed a non-contact ECG pad that's able to detect the ECG, heart rate, and respiratory rate through clothing and different materials without having any skin contact whatsoever. Our pad will communicate with the existing hospital monitors today. Our system works on both adults and pediatrics. We tested our system for equivalency with using both a simulator and with humans, comparing it to a gold standard Medtronic and Physio-Control's LifePak monitor, where we achieved over 95% correlation coefficient to both R-to-R interval and QTC interval. In the NICU, we improve the quality of care of patients. We free up valuable surface area on the neonates without having the electrodes attached. We improve patient experience, allowing parents to hold their babies. And we reduce costs caused by hospital-acquired infections and eliminate the lead wires and electrodes. In the end of this quarter, we will begin our clinical study with a leading research hospital. We have our FDA meeting set for October 1st. We plan to submit our FDA in first quarter of 2021, where we plan to get FDA approval in the third quarter of 2021. Our beachhead market is the neonatal intensive care unit. After that, the hospitals want to take our system and apply it in the pediatric ICU, delivery units, burn units, adult monitoring, and remote monitoring. Some of our competition include Apple and AliveCor, which have really brought a lot more attention to our solution for EKG monitoring in general. They still use contact electrodes. Signum and Capital are a non-contact system, but are not as far along as us, and they also, none of these competitors are targeting the pediatric space. We have world-class experts. Dr. Steven Steinhobel, our Chief Medical Officer, is a leading cardiologist out of Scripps Institute in California, where he's the Director of Digital Medicine. Our CTO, Ali Riza Mogadam, he has a lot of experience with brain-to-machine interfaces. He's built many biosensor devices in his past. So as you can see, we are poised to grow. We opened our bridge round of $750,000 in July, and we just closed last week this round. In the past, we've raised $4.5 million. We have 2 patents granted worldwide. We have 3 more filed. We have our IRB approved. We were accepted into 3 of the Pediatric Device Consortiums, LA Children's, Texas Children's, and Children's National. And so we're ready to gear up for our clinical trial and submit to FDA, where we plan on getting FDA approval in 2021. So join us on our mission to save lives with this incredible technology. Thank you.
All right, nice job, Tom. So judges, questions for Biosense. Go ahead, Alyssa.
Great presentation, Tom. Thank you so much. Could you just talk a little bit more about whether the pad that sits under the infant is connected through wires? I know you said it connects to the current monitors that we have now, but is that wired or is that wireless? And then my question then launches into, have you thought about having anything like this in the home market? And I'll just put the caveat, because it is recorded, that as a physician, I'm aware that the American Academy of Pediatrics does not endorse these home monitoring devices, but that doesn't change the fact that they do give parents a lot of peace of mind. And so I was just curious if the company had thought about going down that route.
Yeah, so I'll answer your last question first. We do see this as an application in the home monitoring market. It is not our target market to begin with. We see a lot of benefit for the peace of mind, like you mentioned. To start out, right now, our system is a pad that sits into the incubator, and then we have a wire that goes to the monitor directly. After we get our first FDA approval, we will make this system wireless to that monitor. But right now, we want to hardwire it just because it's easier to get through the FDA process.
Great, thank you.
Can you talk about what your IP protects here? You said you had 2 patents, but what aspects of the product does it protect?
Yeah, so we've our patents protect us on our front end amplifier circuit. So as you can see on the left picture here, the front end antenna and the front end amplifier are all novel technologies. We also have patents filed on the digital signal processing techniques of filtering out noise and artifacts from movement and things like that. So we got that granted, and we're starting to file more patents around what you can actually do with the EKG signal as well.
Rosemary?
What is your go-to-market strategy?
So our go-to-market plan is to go into our beachhead market of the neonatal intensive care unit, get our FDA approval there. We're going to start our sales direct, where we're going to prove out our technology in a small portion of this market. Once we do that, we have strategic partners that are interested at that point to partner with us to license our technology and to scale us globally. From there, then we'll start to apply for other intended uses outside of the neonatal space to grow the business in other industries.
Okay, great. All right, Tom, nice job.
Thank you.
Next up, Little Sparrows.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Donna Brzezinski. I'm CEO and founder of Little Sparrows Technologies. And today I'm going to be talking about BiliHUD, our solution for revolutionizing the treatment of neonatal jaundice. Neonatal jaundice occurs in about 2/3 of all newborns, usually in the first week of life. And it results from elevation of bilirubin, a metabolite of hemoglobin that turns the skin yellow. It's neurotoxic, and about 5 to 10% of all babies are at risk for brain damage because they have significant jaundice. It's cured by blue light phototherapy, and about 250,000 newborns each year in the US are treated with phototherapy to prevent brain damage. Generally occurs between days 3 and 6 of life, when newborns are transitioning from hospital to home. And whether still in the hospital or in the home, they're taken away from their mothers and they're put in the NICU for treatment. The reason for the NICU admission is that effective phototherapy requires full body skin exposure, which puts the baby at risk for hypothermia. This problem is usually managed by placing the baby in an incubator in a NICU. And this happens despite the fact that most jaundice babies are otherwise healthy. It separates them from their mothers at great expense, costing the healthcare system more than $1 billion annually. The solution to this problem is BiliHUD. BiliHUD is the first portable phototherapy device that can deliver NICU intensity treatment without the need for an incubator in most term and near-term babies. At the core of the solution is a patented curved light array that wraps around the baby and illuminates 1.5 times more skin surface area at a higher overall light intensity than leading NICU devices. BiliHut also reduces radiant heat loss and convective heat loss with its semi-enclosed design so that most babies greater than 5 pounds can be treated next to mom in the postpartum room. It adds value with its ability to prevent more than 200,000 NICU admissions annually, reducing the risk of coronavirus exposure and decreasing costs by at least 80%. BiliHut has multiple revenue streams with device sales to hospital networks and outpatient home care segments. Significant additional recurring revenue can be achieved through consumable sales of the nest cover. It is market ready with demonstrated efficacy, having cured more than 400 babies in trials outside the US. It's already FDA 510(k) cleared and is now in production, and treatments can be billed for with existing reimbursement codes. Our executive team is comprised of experienced senior level cross-disciplinary experts in medicine, medtech, clinical trials, and finance. And our current seed round supports the build out of our sales and marketing team and manufacture product for US sales. Our future Series A will support US expansion, extension into global markets, and development of connected health capability. We have received support from numerous organizations, both in the US and worldwide, and hope to have your support as we launch in the US and continue our mission to improve the health and well-being of newborns. Thank you.
All right, nice job, Donna. Judges, questions?
I can go, it's Jackie. You had a slide that demonstrated saving 200,000, I believe, NICU admissions. Again, as in most neonatal products, you'll need to dollarize that and truly demonstrate the cost savings because of the bundling of neonatal codes. But that was sort of a big leap, and could you talk about that a little bit more?
Sure. So there's about 250,000 babies admitted to the hospital every year for jaundice treatment. We estimate that 75 to 80% of those babies are otherwise well. Jaundice is an incredibly common reason for admission to the NICU. We are excluding babies that would not be candidates for being in the BiliHut, and those would be babies who have comorbid conditions like sepsis, as well as those who are born prematurely, which would be somewhere between 10 and 12%. So that leaves 200,000 of the 250 that could be eligible for treatment. When we look at cost savings, although it varies widely across the board, NICU admission on a daily rate can range from $4,000 or $5,000 to $12,000, depending on where you are in the country and what hospital that you're in. If you're doing outpatient treatment with phototherapy with BiliHut, you're going to be able to reduce that cost by at least 80%, because what you're basically going to be doing is charging an outpatient rate for home therapy, as well as reimbursing the pediatrician, which is much smaller amount than the daily ICU rec.
My point is you'll need to demonstrate that.
Demonstrate that in clinical trials or demonstrate that?
Both, or make that argument from a marketing commercial perspective. But good idea, thanks.
Rosemary.
How much of the money that you've raised so far is non-dilutive?
So our first 1.8 million was non-dilutive. And that got us almost to FDA clearance.
And the 14 million that you're going to raise, what are you going to be using that for?
After our seed round, the remainder of that. So that money is going to go toward expansion into our US market, expansion of our sales and marketing team. We have a lot of global interest for this product. I couldn't really get into details in this presentation, but BiliHut only runs on about 10 to 14 watts of power, which means it can go through an entire treatment cycle on a car battery. We've treated most of our 400 babies on car batteries, actually, in some very low resource areas. And we have a lot of interest as a global health device for BiliHut. So we want to start to expand our presence in global health, identify those markets there, identify the payers in those markets so that we can reach those patients. We also recognize the value of having a connected health app with a home care device. I think just everybody can agree right now in the blush of the pandemic that home care is going to be increasingly adopted, and I think a lot of the barriers to the adoption are falling down now because they realize the value. And we would like to add that connected health capability to the Billy Hut, both to assist parents as they're delivering care at home, as well as provide feedback to the outpatient care providers during treatment.
Donna, thanks for the presentation. Just a question on sort of your competitive position in the current innovation marketplace. How do you differentiate against the product, the Billy blanket?
So the Billy blanket is so the Billy blanket, that's been around for a while. It's had lots of iterations over the years, but it looks very much the same as it always did. It's a fiber optic pad. The baby has to remain in contact with it during therapy. Otherwise, there's no therapeutic advantage to that, which is awfully cumbersome. It has a relatively small footprint because it is fiber optic, and so it tends to only illuminate about 18 to 20% of the skin surface area, whereas ours just wraps around the entire body, about 270 degrees. And so when you think about both the efficacy and the time of treatment, because we have such a greater surface area treated, we can treat much, much, much faster than a Billy blanket. And then the AAP, American Academy of Pediatrics, in general, does not advocate the use for Billy blanket in any other category other than optional treatment, whereas ours is head-to-head or even better than most NICU devices.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Donna.
Thank you.
All right, Greg can tell us all about DeSeca.
Hi, I'm Greg Payne. I'm a professor at the University of Maryland, and we're working on a platform technology for oxidative stress. Oh, it doesn't want to advance the slides. Okay, oxidative stress is linked to a range of different diseases, and inflammation is the underlying cause. Our dream is to have a vital sign for inflammation and oxidative stress that can be used as a global indicator of health and can be measured in real time to guide responses. The specific problem we are working on is necrotizing enterocolitis, and our partner is Dr. Anthony Sandler from Children's National Hospital. Briefly, necrotizing enterocolitis is an inflammatory disease that affects premature infants. It has a sudden onset with little warning, and it has a high morbidity and mortality. Our dream is to be able to measure oxidative stress as a vital sign in the NICU. Measurement requires direct contact with body fluids, so we envision the sensor could be embedded within the infant's diaper. But our measurement of oxidative stress is not just for infants, and it's not just for the hospital. It could be used in the office, the pharmacy, and the home. And the measurement of oxidative stress is not just for sick people, it could be used for people who are healthy, like first responders or athletes, in the form of wearable sensors. We started this journey of our measurement of oxidative stress in collaboration with Dr. Deanna Kelly from Maryland Psychiatric Research Center, working on the problem of schizophrenia. With funding from the National Science Foundation and the Department of Defense, we were able to show that this measurement could provide a simple measure that could guide researchers in understanding this complex disorder. We also are working with Dr. Kelly to use this measurement as a target for treatment. What really makes our measurement unique is the way we measure oxidative stress. We measure it electronically. And if you think about the information that is available in the body fluid on oxidative stress, that information is really in the form of the oxidized molecular species in the fluid sample. And these oxidized molecular components are the result of the oxidative stresses imposed during inflammatory responses. And so this molecular damage serves as a historical record of oxidative stress, and our goal is to measure this historical record electronically. And so we're searching for electronic patterns of oxidative stress. And the key point is that our platform technology is electrical, not chemical. And this provides the opportunity to scale to smaller, faster, cheaper, and more powerful analytical methods. And so our dream, a vital sign for inflammation and oxidative stress, will be realized by a combination of our platform technologies and the commercial vision of our partners. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Greg. Nice job. Great work. All right, so judges, who has questions for Greg? James.
Yeah, I'll ask a question. So I think you might have touched on this a little bit, but can you talk a little bit more about the market you think, you said potentially outside of pediatrics, but you said that there could be another market for it, maybe in sports medicine?
Yeah, so oxidative stress is linked to a lot of different diseases. It's also linked to, so what people think is extreme life stresses and athletes. These stresses that come from the environment and outside, combined with genetics and the response, this leads to the inflammation and the oxidative stress. And so it's really a platform technology that is looking at a very broad problem that is linked to many different physiological and pathological conditions. So we envision really as a platform that could be used in many different ways. We envision it as a platform like an EKG, which is providing a global measurement of the cardiovascular. We envision it as a global measurement like a thermometer that tells whether or not you have inflammation, whether or not you have an infection. And so we vision this as having broad applicabilities for a range of different health and disease states.
Okay, thank you. And then Patrick?
I was just going to ask, I might have missed this in all the biochemistry, but can you just go into more details about the necrotizing enterocolitis and how you would use this in that instance? I understand it's a platform technology, but I think
Yes. So in necrotizing enterocolitis, it affects premature infants. And basically what happens is very suddenly an infant will look like they're doing okay. There's no indication that there's a problem. And then suddenly things become very bad very quickly. And by the time that the clinicians get the information that there's a problem, they've got very few options left. And so this is one of those instances of the disease that's been around for like 40 years and the survival rate hasn't improved. And so, the goal is to provide information quickly so that the clinicians can identify there's a problem and they can start taking actions when they have more options.
Rosemary, did you have a question?
What is the competitive landscape for this?
Yeah, so for oxidative stress, there's a lot of people interested in oxidative stress, and so there's a lot of effort to develop biomarkers. Almost all of these biomarkers are molecular in nature, and so they're looking for molecular biomarkers, cytokines, C-reactive proteins, and all of these have some abilities for providing information, but there's no single globally recognized marker that has really captured the marketplace. And so we think that it's a very large market based on oxidative stress, and we think it's not really being served in a general way.
Very good. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Paul.
Renata.
Well, again, thank you everybody for having me. So again, my name is Dustin Armour, and I am a co-founder and CEO of Renata Medical. And Renata Medical is a company that makes cardiovascular implants specifically for the unmet pediatric patient population. See, every year, 1% of children born are diagnosed with congenital heart disease. The crazy thing is 99% of the tools and devices that would allow that child to have a minimally invasive operation are off-label for use. They're not available for these children. They're forced to have open heart surgery. With Renata, we want to change that. Our first opportunity is looking at narrowed vessels. So it's common vascular stenosis. So either the child is born with a narrow vessel, or because of some other disease that the child is born with, the post-surgical consequence can be vascular stenosis in the aorta or the pulmonary artery. This narrowing has to be open. It impacts blood flow, pressure, the way the heart develops, the way the baby develops. The problem is it's a bit of a moving target. It's a small vessel, and very soon after it's going to be a large vessel. So this is often causing the child to not have just one, but multiple open heart surgeries. We have come up with a design that has an issued patent now. We're adding continuations. That is a balloon expandable stent that is able to be crimped small enough down to 4 French and be delivered into the youngest of patients. And then as the child grows, the stent can be re-expanded, customized to their growth rate. We're design frozen and we're raising 5 million currently to complete an early feasibility study, and we only need 7 million more to complete a pre-market approval. Due to the short time, I'm going to speak fast, but we have a very experienced team. We have many years of designing devices. We know the community. Evan is an experienced pediatric interventionalist, one of the best in the world, and we have great experience from the business and startup side with Len. We also have an incredible supporting community of men and women doing this every day and others. This stent alone has the ability to treat 27,000 patients immediately as of today in the world, with a very attractive market of 600 million. It's attractive because it's able to reduce mortality and morbidity for these little young patients. These are very complicated procedures. They're also very costly procedures, so we can save a lot of money to the economic system while still having a comfortable ASP. And it's also an incredible deal for these doctors. These are the referring physicians. It's their patients. They want to give their patients the best care there is. We're design frozen, we've completed animal studies, and we've had multiple conversations, 2 formal pre-submission meetings with the FDA. We have all our non-clinical testing agreed upon, and we've agreed to a 40-patient, 6-month follow-up trial to achieve pre-market approval for the first ever stent allowed for babies in the United States, which is crazy and we are excited for. We know this journey is going to be a win for everyone involved. And we're excited and would hope anyone who wants to could come along with us to change the way these little babies are treated. So I apologize for going so fast, but please let me see if there's questions that I may have teased or just started. So thank you very much.
Nice job. Questions for Dustin? Yes, Jackie.
Hi, great presentation. I've been following this technology for, seems, a million years. How are you different from the other 5,000 other products that are like this?
Man, what a great question. Yes. We weren't sure if we were going to get it patented, knowing there's 30,000 other stents probably out there. To answer your question, Jackie, there's a number of differences. But first, no stents are able to crib very small, below 6 French even, small enough to treat a baby, and maintain integrity, while growing to adult sizes. This means anything used off-label will have to be, either if they're able to fit into these young children, they'll have to be broken with really high pressure balloons and very unpredictable surgeries, which is not ideal, or they'll have to be surgically removed. So those children are still sentenced to surgery. Other stents that do cover adult sizes and can get very large are much too big to fit in the balloon. They'd have to go into much larger children. So the gist of it would be the size range and the integrity over that entire cycle. I hope that answers your question, Jackie.
Sure, thank you.
Yes, James.
So one of my questions is, what is, as you said, a lot of other people are in this market. What's kept other people? Is it just making it that small and that's what you patented? Is that really what the indication or the real difficulty was here?
Yeah, good question. Thanks, James. I would say a number of factors. I think the biggest factor is the return on investment. And I think that the FDA's willingness to collaborate, which they've done when we worked at Edwards and they've been doing in the space, to help create safe and effective product, but not have this burdensome gateway, they allowed us to group etiology. And by doing that, it's not such a fragmented market and it makes that market much more appealing and attractive. 2, I do think that there is a complex system of equations while making a stent that is required to balance out making it small yet grow large. And when you are going after different markets, the trade-offs require you to not do what we have done. And people haven't gone after that. So I think those 2 are people who have tried to address it, assumed a stent couldn't be made, and they've slightly different routes in terms of bioresorbable or other aspects. So I think that's why we were able to land where we did. Hopefully that addresses your question, Jim.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's any concern about patients having to commit to this for the lifetime, given the uncertainty of how well it's going to work.
Yeah, good question as well. Thank you, Patrick. I would answer that like this: is given any alternative, this is an incredible opportunity for these patients. As a parent, I can't imagine what I would have to do if I was staring down a second operation with a potential mortality of 10%. I think I would be game for a lot of things. These children already, sentence sounds like a hard word. I don't. These children are always going to be followed for a lifetime. They're going to, there's part of their stat right now is to be followed every 6 months to every year is part of what they will require. So there's nothing changed that's different. And very often surgeons come to the pediatric interventionalist to say, please do something off-label, do something. Let's postpone surgery. Let's do our best. So having a product that's specifically designed, a covered system that'll address that is a huge deal. Maybe if I can, Paul, and I hope I'm not over time, I just want to note that we did have an opportunity to share our animal data at the largest conference in the world, pediatric conference in the world. And we happened to win the scientific presentation of the conference. And I think it reaffirms, that's picked the conference, I think it reaffirms the excitement for the community to have something. And the reason I brought it up, I think it relates a little to that question. At least we were excited and we just want to share. So thank you guys.
All right, very good. That's all we have time for. Great job.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it.
All right, next, spinal modulation.
All right, excellent. Thanks, everyone. My name is Eric Gaudreau. I'm the CEO of Spinal Modulation, and I will be presenting today with Dr. Parent. Dr. Parent is the co-founder and also president and clinician. We are a Canadian-based company that specializes in spine treatment and spine innovation. Spinal Modulation is a subsidiary of Spinalogic, a company that was founded by Dr. Parent and also 2 other spine surgeons 10 years ago. Today I will be presenting one of our technology, the MILESTONE system that is currently, we are currently doing a clinical trial in Canada, and it is truly a game changer for a patient with scoliosis, young patient for scoliosis.
Hi, my name is Stéphane Parent. I'm one of the founders and president of the company. We're excited to present to you the MILESTONE system. It's an innovative class 3 device for the surgical treatment of idiopathic scoliosis. It's aimed at patients over 8 years old, up to 15 or 16 years old. And it's aimed at correcting scoliosis in the surgical range, so above 40 degrees. It really works by harnessing the residual growth of the patient. You're limiting growth on the long side or the convex side of the deformity, and you're letting the concave side grow into it. So you have an initial correction, and then eventually you get more correction over time. It works with, you see here, our tether and bone screw and it's a staple that gets attached to the vertebral body. On the convex side, you pass the cable down and then you can correct immediately during the surgery, but also with growth after surgery. So it's really like having braces, but without having go back to the orthodontist every 2 months to have them refixed. It does correct by itself. So the biggest difference that the traditional surgery is a posterior spinal fusion, whereby you do a open procedure in the back. You attach the muscles, you put screws and rods in the back, and you correct the spine and you fuse it. So it's really something that's not physiological. What we're doing with the growth modulation procedure is that we're doing inside the thorax, but with cameras. We're attaching the screws to the vertebral body, but it's a minimally invasive surgery. It takes about 2 to 3 days to be out of the hospital, and they're back with their full activities within 6 weeks, compared to 6 months or 1 year, up to 1 year with a spinal fusion, which is a big difference for the patients.
So we have currently under the clinical trial, we have 5 sites. We're covering coast to coast. The team is composed of 8 very experienced spine surgeons combined with the spinal modulation team of PhDs and engineers. Considering the context, the COVID context, we were lucky that all our Canadian sites were reopened progressively since May. So we are able to continue our clinical trial, which is a very good news on our hand. If I give you just a bit of an update where we are, our regulatory strategy is very clear. We had our pre-sub meeting in April 2018. We have completed our first target of patient enrollment. It's done. We're continuing the clinical trial to gather additional data. Our design verification and validation is well in progress, going well also. We have done a Q-sub with the FDA, and we have our plan is fully vetted. Manufacturing and supply chain is in place, allowing us to ramp up in United States quite fast. And we are preparing right now for our US market entry in as early as Q3, Q4 2021. As we speak today, we are currently performing a surgery today, right now, as we speak. If we look now at the market, I would call this device a niche product, but the demand is growing fast as fusionless surgery, such ours, is getting more traction to the market. Based on our indication, we envision, or we size the market $160 million US per year. Keep in mind that we already are covering the Canadian market right now due to all the clinical sites that are under the study. Again, we are preparing as early as Q3 2021 for the market entry.
And again, just to give you a sense of what our competition is, there are some products on the market that are doing something similar in terms of growth modulation. Before I was using, we used the MI Scoli system. I was using the Zimmer Biomet tether or dynesis on an off-label basis, for which we got some experience on regarding which type of patient would react well to this and all that stuff. But the device is not designed to be used in the pediatrics population. It's the same thing with the Globus system. They're both pretty high in terms of the size that they have above the vertebra. Our system has been designed with the children in mind. The length of the screws are all adapted for this, and it's very low profile. The ApiFix is a posterior spinal device that doesn't work quite the same way, and we think that the growth is more attainable, or the correction of the growth through the growth is more attainable through an anterior approach.
Thank you, everybody. That completes our presentation. So we're ready for a question now.
Great, thank you, guys. All right, judges, questions for the team and spinal modulation. Yes, Rosemarie.
I have two questions. Can you talk about your patent, what your patent stance is, and do you think there's any possibility of replication? And then the other question is, does it need to be taken out once it's put in after the back straightens?
Good question. So I'll take the second one right away, and then I'll let Eric answer what I can't answer about the patent. But the procedure is a one-shot procedure. You have to go in once. The idea is that not to have to go back. At the end of the growth, the tether is still in place, but it's not causing any limitation in movement. We see cable breakage down the road, 5 or 6 years down the road, and it should not be an issue. We have the experience that we have up to now is that the patients don't have to have it removed at the end of the growth. And then for patent purposes, the patent is clearly based mostly on the shape of the tether and the way it's weaved. So that normally we are protected against any other companies copying this. The main game changer is that the dynesis and the other systems are based on the round cable. Ours is mostly flat, and so it has the weaving and the way it's made is different compared to the competition.
And we have additional patent in the also in the implants that we're currently developing and working on for
yes.
Also version 2. So that
and the staple and the vertebral screw are different from the other systems as well.
All right, we have time for one last question, yep. Pat.
I was just wondering what's required for you to completely cover the United States. Do you have to also train surgeons across the United States?
Good question. So yeah, most surgeons in the US have been trained to do some anterior releases and doing some thoracoscopic work. Obviously, there is a learning curve. So, but the fact that the dynesis system has had an approval, there is some training sessions. So there is an opportunity for having surgeons come in and learn about this. Lots of surgeons, the different sites who are doing this have had some experience with this. So transitioning to our system should be pretty effortless.
Okay, great. Thank you both. Good job.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. All right, so our final presentation of the day is going to be from Navi Medical.
Hi, I'm Alex from Navi Medical Technologies. We're an Australian company looking to make central line procedures safer in newborns and children. Nearly 30 million babies are born sick or premature each year, and many are admitted to the neonatal intensive care unit. One of the most frequent procedures performed in the NICU is the insertion of a central line, where doctors place a thin tube into a vein to deliver nutrients or medications. Under the current standard of care, doctors estimate the length of the catheter and place it in a blind procedure. Correct placement of the catheter tip is critical, but doctors only receive confirmation of the location after the procedure via an X-ray. However, around 40% of lines are misplaced during the insertion procedure, and around half unknowingly move or migrate to a non-central location post-procedure. The bottom line is misplaced and migrated lines require additional procedures to fix, impacting clinical workflows and exposing patients to potentially devastating complications, including infections, tissue damage, and cardiac tamponade. That's why we're developing the NeoNav. It's a Class 2 medical device which provides accurate catheter tip location in real time to reduce patient risks, improve the clinical workflow, and reduce healthcare costs. The NeoNav works a bit like a car's parking sensor. It measures the electrical activity from the heart through the catheter to determine the catheter tip location. It's completely non-invasive, and it's the only product of its kind that uses intelligent software designed specifically for pediatric patients to assist in the insertion procedure, as well as an ongoing patient monitoring role. Our total addressable market is estimated at $1.6 billion per year, and there are opportunities to address the larger adult market. We'll implement a capital consumable revenue model, and a preliminary health economic assessment shows that the NeoNav may deliver significant cost savings to NICUs. We've assembled an incredible team of engineering, commercial, and clinical experts to solve this important problem. Our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Theda, has been caring for critically ill newborns for over 30 years in Australian and US NICUs. Our board of directors provides decades of experience in the medical device industry, including clinical marketing experts and a world-leading pediatric vascular access specialist. And our advisory panel consists of experienced technical, clinical, and engineering experts. We currently have a clinical study of our prototype device underway at the Royal Women's Hospital in Melbourne. Early results are really promising. The NeoNav has been able to identify every single case of a misplaced line in patients enrolled in our study to date. We're targeting a Series A funding round in 2021 after completing our clinical study and receiving feedback from our FDA pre-submission meeting. We've demonstrated really strong traction over the last few years. To date, we've raised over $3 million to fund early stage R&D activities, including over $1 million in the last 3 months from grants to expand our ongoing research to different procedures and hospitals in Australia. Navi is the only company outside of North America to be selected for the MedTech Innovator Pediatric program in 2020. And we're working hard to build a strong network of hospitals, distributors, key opinion leaders, and partners to help bring this important innovation to market. Our goal at Navi is to improve the standard of care for critically ill children who need central lines. If you're interested in supporting us on our journey, we'd be delighted to hear from you. Thank you.
All right, great job. Thank you, Alex. Okay, so questions, judges for Alex. Please go ahead, Alyssa.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for your presentation. The technology is really interesting, and I don't think I've had the opportunity to hear you present earlier, so this is new for me. In the adult world, ultrasound has gained a lot of momentum for confirming line placement, and I was wondering how you felt this technology will hold up if ultrasound ever gained momentum in the neonatal population for central line placement.
Yeah, so that is a competing technology. We've seen some papers that suggest that ultrasound is a good way to locate locate the tip of a catheter in newborns. Although we're yet to see any NICUs actually adopt that technology as the standard of care, and I think that there's a couple of reasons for that. One is there's a very high training threshold, which means that it's difficult for NICUs to maintain that capability on staff, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, because to actually get people trained in the US and Australia, they need to be accredited to a very high level to do that. The second reason is from going to a lot of presentations about the use of ultrasound technology for tip location at AVA, which is the Association for Vascular Access presentations. Basically, the larger the patient, the more difficult it is. And so it can be used on newborns, but on older children, it's actually quite difficult to locate the tip of a catheter with ultrasound.
Thanks.
Other questions? Rosemary, you want to unmute?
What is your go-to-market strategy?
At the moment, we're actually reevaluating our path to market. Our current strategy is actually to get a US 510K approval through the FDA, and then actually enter the market in New Zealand for a couple of reasons. One, it's a really closed market to Australia, so our team can handle that. We think that getting that really early user feedback is very important for us. So currently our plan is to actually enter New Zealand first and then leapfrog to the US when we've got a little bit of experience in sales. But we're actually reevaluating that with a consultant group at the moment. We think that actually there might be an opportunity to come to the US first. So perhaps that's not going to be quite as expensive as we had thought it might be upfront. So yeah, we're in the process of reevaluating that. If we do come to the US first, likely through one of our partners in the Pediatric Device Consortium, of course, DC or Texas Children's or Philadelphia.
Okay. All right, Alex, great job.
All right, thank you.
Good job on that. Thank you. Okay, so that was our last presentation. Great job for all the presenters. You guys did a terrific job. All right, so our judges have deliberated, and we've selected the winners for this year's pediatric competition as part of the NCC-PDI Pediatric Symposium. I'm very excited to announce the winners. I'm going to announce each of you in here in no particular order. Here we go. Inara Health. Navi Medical Technologies. Novinate. Renata. AdvaMed. And Biosense. Everyone was terrific. I just want you to know all the companies did incredibly well. In the judge deliberation, we talked about that, and a couple of people specifically said all of these companies are amazing. It's really difficult to choose who's going to be the winners. So I just want to make sure you guys all know that. So we're going to go one by one through each of the companies. Just quickly give you a chance to just say a few words. So starting off with Inara Health.
Paul, thank you for the opportunity. We are so delighted to have been included with such a great group of other cohorts, other participants. We are way better as an organization on the back end of this accelerator and could not be more pleased at the opportunity that's in front of us. And we look to MedTech Innovator as having a huge component of that success. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, NCC-PDI, for being part of that as well. Next up, Navi Medical.
Thanks, Paul. Look, to everyone at the MedTech Innovator program and NCC-PDI, this means so much to us. Really, this support is just incredible. And, you know, we're really looking forward to being able to make an impact on this problem and with this patient cohort as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Next, Novinate, Eric.
Yeah, just big thank you to everyone. Really, really appreciate this. And I can't tell you how impactful and meaningful it is for us as a company. This Pediatric Device Consortium community has been fantastic for their support, financially and non-financially as well. I've met a lot of great people in it. So just want to say big thanks to NCC-PDI, MedTech Innovator community. It really means a lot. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Next, we have Renata Medical.
Same. I just want to say thanks, Paul, Brian, Catherine, Liz, all you guys had to do while we were doing this all through the crisis. Yeah, to everybody, we're just grateful for the collective wisdom to be with other people trying to help little kids that really need that. And we feel inspired and we're excited for what we're going to do these little children. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Dustin. All right, next, AdvaMed, Evan.
Thanks to the MedTech Innovator team and to the NCC-PDI. Paul, as you said in one of the emails, just being part of this cohort made us a winner as a company. And the connections we've made, including with our contract manufacturer, have been invaluable. And this will greatly expedite our ability to get our product to market. And that is the most important thing anybody could ask for. So thank you so much from our whole team.
Thanks, Evan. And Tom Evans from Biosense.
Thank you, Paul, and the MedTech Innovator team. This has been an amazing experience. Being involved with all these fellow companies and learning from everyone else that's in this cohort as well has been extremely valuable, and we're learning so much just being a part of this, and really appreciate everyone believing in us and what we're trying to do. All these companies are doing amazing things for kids, and it's just a passionate thing that I'm lucky to be involved with, and really thanks to the MedTech Innovator team for selecting us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom. All right, so again, you guys are all a cohort. Keep working together, keep helping each other, because this is the only way, right? You know, we're all gonna achieve our goals is for everybody to work together and support each other. So we're so glad you guys have been part of the Pediatric Accelerator and part of this program. I'm now going to hand it over to Dr. Anthony Sandler to say a few words. So Dr. Sandler.
Thank you, Paul. This is great. Congratulations to Chris, Alex, Eric, Dustin, Evan, and Tom. This is fantastic work. We, on behalf of the NCC-PDI, we're delighted to have such outstanding work presented, and certainly for the children that we all serve, there's a lot of good work that's going to be meeting some really big needs in pediatrics. So thank you for the work that you do. We appreciate it, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Dr. Sandler. And Kalale.
No, thank you so much, first and foremost, to MedTech Innovator team. And it's been great to put this first cohort of companies through the accelerator program. It was a great test, and it proved to be very, very successful. All 10 companies, of course, were winners. In March, you guys competed among 30 companies and you won, and we're so happy and proud of the progress that you made since March until we saw your very improved presentations on Monday. So I'm very proud of everyone, and thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, MedTech Innovator team.
Thank you, Kalale. I'm just going to give other people who are on here a chance to say a few other words again. So I'm going to start off with our judges, or we're going to end with our judges. So Patrick, you want to say a few words about your observations on the companies?
Yeah, this was the first opportunity I had to judge this competition, and I can just echo the comments that I was really impressed with the level of competition, and I know that I learned a lot. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of it, and congratulations on your success.
And then Jackie Phillips.
Great, thank you, everyone. This, I must say, all of the competitors were outstanding. It's good to see great innovation being brought forth. I wish you all success. J&J is delighted to be a part of this. I judge a number of these each year, and again, outstanding cohort, and congratulations to all of you. Glad to be a part of it.
Thanks, Jackie. Rosemarie.
Thank you. It was my first time judging as well, and I can say that I have rarely seen such a good cohort that has very high quality pitches and technologies that can make an impact, as well as the passion that shows very clearly through all of the presentations that came forward. So I'd say congratulations to everybody. You should be very proud of yourselves.
And James?
All right, I've been judging these for a while, and I have to say this was a great group, one of the best that I've seen. So I just want to say congratulations to everyone. I thought the technology was great and the presentations were really impressive.
Thanks, James. Basum, anything you want to say? FDA is supporting, these pediatric companies through this NCC-PDI and other consortia.
So thank you very much. Wonderful to be a part of this. As we continue to work together with stakeholders across the ecosystem and truly create a platform and innovation ecosystem that supports device development in pediatrics, it's amazing and wonderful to see all the innovation that's out there. It just lets us know that we truly need to ensure that there continues to be support for pediatric innovation and device development. So kudos to everyone that is doing this work. It's going to make a big difference for children in the future.
Thanks, Basum. All right, this was terrific. Thanks everyone for a great job today. Looking forward to more pediatric innovation together. We'll see you guys all soon. Bye-bye.